Alrighty, let me double check if that worked. I am live again. Okay, cool. Let me double check that I'm also not live on the wrong channels. Should be good. I think I changed it. I didn't want to leave you guys on leave you on red, you know? We're having a convo there. Okay. Cool. I think I'm live on the correct place in all the right spots and not the wrong ones. Whoa. Whoa. Autoplay. Okay, am I live on YouTube right now? Oh, I am. Okay, well, the title's wrong. Sorry, guys. Um, I'll probably delete this off of YouTube after, TBH. Okay. Jay-Z had a ghost in her room, super spooky. But it's her friend, so we aren't going to discriminate on that, okay? Some people were saying, Alex was saying that basically that panel, it felt like like men were being portrayed in a very negative light. I don't think that's the intention. I think the intention is that you're just kind of showing some of what these specific situations can be like from a female perspective. I think that like I think that kind of across the board, it doesn't really matter what domain it is. There is a very different perspective between men and women, right? Like I experienced that. There's a lot of things that like I even experienced even just streaming alone that none of my male friends understand or would even be aware of if I didn't bring it up. So these kind of conversations is definitely not to try and paint men in like some kind of bad light. It's just to kind of shine the light on the dark places. So if you're feeling like, if you're feeling that there's like certain things that are, rubbing you the wrong way about that, like, you know, maybe that's a you problem. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's some kind of conflict there. But at the same time, like maybe it's just a sensitive topic for you, for whatever reason. But understand that it's definitely not personal, and it's just trying to bring awareness so that we can all be more understanding and respectful of each other. So yeah, it's definitely not it's definitely not meant to be like, yeah, men suck, they should eat dirt while the women do the real coding. Like it's not how that's going. We like men, you can sit with us, it's fine, you guys can keep sitting with us. We'll allow it. Yeah, no, it's definitely not like that. But that was a really interesting discussion, I think. Um, yeah. We have serious problems that tech can solve. Would have loved to hear a discussion about that. I'd be really interested if you have topics that you want to be discussed on the on that podcast. Feel free to drop it in our Discord. Like even in the Bash Bunny Discord is fine. But if you have a certain topic that you want to see, like let me know because I'm open to exploring different things. This month was more of like a kind of a soft skill topic. Kind of just the goal here was just to like broaden the perspective, offer a different, offer like unique ways that they've broken into tech. Because I think another thing that I've noticed with a lot of women in tech, and I noticed this in my CS classes even, is like a lot of girls don't come into tech in a very traditional way. Like in my CS classes, I had lectures of 300 plus people, and I was one of 3 girls in the class. Like it's pretty uncommon. I hope and I think it's becoming more normalized. Like I was saying in the chat earlier, even from when I first started in tech in like 2018, my experiences have been very different. I think it's a combination of being like around great people and maybe the fact that my job title is very different than when I first started. But I do hope that it's just a sign of the times. Like more people are getting into tech and thus it's becoming more diverse and we're getting to understand a lot of these different perspectives. And I think like ultimately the goal is to write great software, and the best way to achieve that is to have a great understanding of who might be using these products, and that means getting a lot of different perspectives and um, people with different experiences and specializations and everything. Yeah, I might know someone. We might be able to get it on the podcast. We'll see. We'll see. Congress is more concerned about TikTok. I don't like TikTok, so I'm like the worst person. I kind of get it, dude. Canada has passed some really sus laws recently in regards to like basically filtering media, and what did they pass? Yeah, and like freedom of speech related things. Like there's a bill right now that's like still under consideration, but it's like to give the you can get like life in prison for hate speech, and then it's like, well, who defines what hate speech is? And it's very similar to the, I think it was Bill C-11. Watch me say the wrong bill number after we already went over this in another stream. But there was another stream that it didn't alter the algorithm itself, but it was able to basically alter the parameters. So, like the government. So, what that means is like they basically now have the power to change what we are able to see as Canadians, which is sus. And the reason being they wanted to like promote more Canadian content. But again, it's like what's to stop them if they have the control to change what we're seeing? Like what's to stop them um, from like changing what that definition is? So yeah, anyway, the TikTok stuff is just a whole thing. I'm like, maybe not, maybe, I don't know if I'm a good person to speak on that, you know? That's STEM in general. Yeah, I think and hope that STEM is getting better. It could be too that I'm just like too online, and so I'm only seeing the online version where I follow a lot of women in tech, so I get to see a lot of women in tech. But like, yeah, I think in total I've met like two women in tech. Actually, that's not true because I hosted an event in December, so I guess I met a lot of people in tech at that point, and there were at least a few women there. So I've met probably less than 10 though in my entire career. Um, okay, and Alex was saying, I don't know what you guys work on, but the mother of all problems are one, energy, clean water, access to food, cancer and degenerative disease, and disinformation. Yeah, yeah, true. Controlling information. I mean, control of information is a huge. That's the goal, isn't it? That's how you control the message and the narrative. It's a huge impact on people at scale. Haxor says people are too fragile nowadays. We have to be able to talk about bad interactions. Like girls don't usually think I'm hot, cool, tatted, and listen to opera. When I say I enjoy PHP, it's important to just be able to put everything out there. Yeah, exactly. I think the thing too is like sometimes you're gonna have these like kind of awkward interactions or like bad interactions or whatever, but like it's okay to like kind of, if you decide it's worthwhile, to like be able to speak up and like say, hey, that kind of sucked. how can we how can we maybe communicate better going forward, so I think it's more so just like being able to have that voice to say, hey, I didn't like that, let's change that a little bit. I don't think it's necessarily like, yeah, I don't think that, I think once people have kind of voiced their needs of like, hey, maybe I'm a little I'm a little sensitive with my code reviews, right? So can you please be gentle when you deliver feedback versus like some people might be fine when you're just really direct and all you're pointing out is just straight to the point. But some people need a bit more of that. And so like I think sometimes it's a combination of learning of like adapting your own um, messaging communication skills to the situation. And in some cases, it's also on it's if they're feeling uncomfortable with something, it is kind of on them to be able to bring it up with you and tell you. But it is also kind of up to you to like, to set the tone for them to know that they can come to you and they will be heard. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think when people are being sensitive, I think that, I don't know, I'm also like, I could be off base, but this is just what I think, right? These are just my opinions. But I think that if someone is feeling really sensitive to something, then it is kind of up to them to like, to share that with people. People can't read your mind, you know? But it is an insane skill to be able to work with a bunch of different people with a bunch of different personalities and be able to just be a chameleon in those situations. I'm sorry, that's MVS. People should stop taking things so personal. It's code. I think it comes down to like where they're at in their careers as well. I did a whole stream actually with like TJ and Prime and Rocks like over a year ago, or over what, 2 years ago? I don't even know. It was a long time ago. Um, but we talked about basically like giving and receiving feedback, because I'm okay to get really dry feedback, but like Rocks is not okay to get really dry feedback. But I think a lot of it, the conclusion we came to is that like a lot of it comes down to your environment and your previous experiences, right? So like if you've been in a really toxic work environment before where they were kind of planting these seeds of like inadequacy in your brain to try and basically like manipulate you so that you do more than you really need to, in a way, you know what I mean? So that they can kind of abuse your willingness to succeed. Some places will do that, and that's a very toxic work environment. And in those cases where they've kind of planted these seeds where you always feel a little bit like you're never quite doing it right. That's not going to be a situation where you're able to take very dry feedback over text, because you're constantly like, you're already on eggshells when you're working with any of your coworkers or whatever, the person that's meant to be giving you this feedback. So like I could understand why you would need a bit of like softening if that's been your experience. Like you need to say, hey, this is a great start, or this isn't a great start, but here's how I can help you. And like it is your job, I think, as the mentor or the senior or whatever, to like tell, like to make sure that they're getting it, you know? And yeah, I think sometimes that can get missed. I think it's rough. So yeah, but I just wanted to come back on and finish that conversation because we weren't really able to do that on stream. I can't really talk during those podcast episodes. Like I can't talk to the community because it's being recorded. So the recording goes up on YouTube like right away, and I try not to increase any load on myself by having to edit the episode. So yeah, I can't have back and forth with chat during the episode, and then usually I have to like end the stream to end the recording. So yeah, I just wanted to pop back on. And yeah, person is getting your code is shit, blah blah blah. I get that they can get sensitive, but again, it just has to do, I think, with the existing environment and the previous environments that you've been in. Because like in a lot of cases, if you've been in a really bad environment that like really messed with your confidence, then like you will be more sensitive to criticism. Yeah. I think most of the people having this conversation are younger though. Yes, exactly. It's a combination of like they don't have the confidence from experience to know that they can do this. So they are still trying to figure out, can I even do this? They're questioning themselves. And then if they've already had any kind of like bad situations in the past, like that also will kind of cripple their confidence. And yeah, it's not a good feeling. Bash pops back on. Bash uses Papa West. Coincidence? I don't think so. Yes, exactly. But yeah, I think that like personally, when I'm in a situation where I feel uncomfortable, I do think that it falls on me to voice that discomfort. And like, that's one thing that was really hard because I used to not like confrontation, but it's helped me so much being able to say when like, hey, I don't like, I try and phrase it in a way that doesn't like trigger their defenses of like, you suck at communicating and then now I feel shit. Like that's not the way to say it. You just say like, I don't know. There's ways that you can figure out how to deliver that message properly. But I do think that if you're in a position where you feel uncomfortable, like it is kind of on you to voice that. You can't assume that other people are going to be able to like pick up on subtle cues of that, especially in tech, because there's so many people that are on the spectrum and like can't read body language. So yeah, that's the little tidbit there. But yeah, I gotta go. I got another meeting. But yeah, I wanted to acknowledge you for a moment. Exactly, Stray. That's what I do as well. I'm always like, yeah, this, like, I feel like this, and this. And one thing too is like, if you confront them on that and they're not open to kind of trying to find a solution to that, right? Like, generally, people don't want you to feel shitty after interacting with them. So, like, if you are able to express that and then they don't really come back with any solutions to, like, you guys can't work together to find some way to make that work, then like it's probably for a good reason. Like, if they're not willing to put in the effort, then they're probably not willing, like, they're probably not worth working with. That's what I think. Anyway, I'll see you guys next time. I'll see you guys tomorrow for an Elm stream, which is super exciting. All right, I gotta go. I actually have to go. Okay, bye. Bye. Did I say good?